Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today, Karen loses it over my dog's treats not being vegan. After that, Entitled Dad picks up shark and ruins the day for everyone. And after that, Karen expects me to babysit for free as the cool aunt. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen has to pay for babysitting. How dare you! So please smash that like button, and if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Karen loses it over my dog's treats not being vegan. I needed to go get my dog's food at the pet store this morning. I brought my dog because she's been going to training since my state opened up, and it was a great opportunity to bring her there and get some distraction exposure. While I was there was a young lady, maybe early 20s, who was walking around and she saw my dog. I said hi when she looked down at my dog and asked if she could pet her. I said of course, Hallie is very friendly and she's great for socializing. She kneels down and starts petting her and telling her she is a good girl. I had a treat pouch and I asked if she would like to give Hallie a treat. She said she would love to, so I gave her a few and she asked if Hallie knew any tricks. She did down, sit, and paw and took the treats gently. After a minute or so, the lady looked at her hand and asked what kind of treats they were, and I told her that they were beef liver. She backed up away from us, and if I could see her entire face, I'm sure her jaw would have dropped. She said something like, "Why didn't you tell me what they were?" Very upset. I was shocked. I didn't think it mattered, so I said, "I'm so sorry. Are you allergic?" I thought maybe that was the issue. She said, "No, I'm vegan." She went on to say that I should have told her what they were before I offered them, and that I was a disgusting person for not saying anything or thinking about another person. I was honestly too flabbergasted to even say anything else. She just walked away, holding her hand out away from her, to, I'm assuming, the bathroom to wash her hand. I kind of feel like the jerk because I didn't say anything about the type of treat. But also, she's a dog, and most dogs are meat-based. I don't eat meat, but I understand that my dog needs to, so I regularly handle meat for her. It doesn't bother me much now. And at the same time, I also feel like if you don't want to handle animal products, maybe ask what kind of treats they are before you take them. But I still can't shake the feeling that I'm in the wrong because I didn't say anything, and I understand how she felt about handling the treats. Am I the jerk? Should I have said what type of treats they were before handing them to her? Well, what do you think? Should OP have told them what kind of treats they were before handing her any? Please let us know. Entitled Dad picks up shark and ruins the day for everyone. Hi, I work at an aquarium as an educator and see a lot of things. On this particular day, it wasn't too busy, but we're still dealing with everything going on, so a lot of things are closed at my aquarium. We're working on opening everything, but it's hard. I was working the shark touch station. Now these particular sharks are nocturnal in the wild and tend to take naps during the day. Side note, if you don't know, not all sharks have to swim to breathe. These sharks don't have to, so they're typically laying at the bottom of the tank for their naps. I like to explain that when people come up and see they're not moving. On this particular day, we were kind of busy and the sharks were having their afternoon nap. A family came up and noted the sharks weren't moving. Me. Yeah, so they're asleep and that's totally normal. But if you have long enough arms, you can try to touch them. But keep in mind the water is cold and they're at the bottom of the tank. The dad nods and reaches in the tank, poking the shark hard enough to wake it up and thus making it move to the other side of the tank. He looks at me, irritated. Entitled Dad. Now what? Me. Well, you can wait for them to wake up and come to you, or you can move to this section. It's a bit deeper, but there are a lot of sharks there to touch. He rolled his eyes and moved his family. At the news station, it was too deep for the kids to reach, and they were starting to throw a fit. When this happens, I like to offer them other things they can do, or other animals up ahead, and always say that they can come back to see if the sharks had moved. This guy was not having it. He started throwing a fit, saying it was unfair that the sharks were asleep while people were there wanting to touch them. I explained the normal stuff I say when people get upset, which only upsets him more. He then proceeded to reach down, grab a shark by the tail, and lift it out of the water. I was bewildered. I see people push the sharks and try to move them on a normal basis, but no one removes them from the water until today. I didn't know how to react. They don't train you for this. Me. Sir, please put the shark down. They need to live in the water. Entitled Dad. My kids will touch this shark. I panic. Sharks and other animals can die from stress, and this shark was not having a great time. I quickly call my lead, and as he's rounding the corner, the man drops the shark, causing the other sharks to wake up and become agitated. The entitled dad takes off to the next exhibit with my lead not far behind. I call the animal care team and essentially close down the touch section until I get the okay to open it. It didn't open for the rest of the day, which caused a lot of angry parents the rest of the day, but that's for another day. I think my lead caught the entitled dad and kicked him out, but not without him demanding a refund for the lack of things open and the lack of fun they had. I don't know if he got it. He probably did. We're known for handing out refunds for the dumbest things. I was too busy focusing on the animals. The sharks ended up being fine, and we were able to open the station the next day. So, my note to everyone, please do not pick up the sharks at your local aquarium. Thanks. Update. I got in contact with the lead for that day and asked him what the consequences were. He said we hold a 2-strike policy and gave him a warning. He came in the next day, got into an argument about the mask policy with the executive manager at the aquarium, spit on the floor, and was then escorted out by police, more than likely charged and put on the ban list. And we did not give him a refund that day. Have you ever got to pet sharks? And if so, did you like it? Please let us know. I like the ones that feel sandpapery, and the stingrays, yes. Karen expects me to babysit for free as the cool aunt. My sister and I have always been very different. Growing up, she was your stereotypical nerdy/geeky girl, very into sci-fi and fantasy, video games, etc. She bonded a lot with my parents over it because they are the same. I always felt kind of different from the others because I'm not very geeky, and while I did my best to fit in, Star Wars movies, Harry Potter, etc., I took my first opportunity to leave the area for school. I went to FIT and got a degree in fashion design. I always loved making my own clothes. To frame it one way, I made my prom dress from my own pattern, and my family smiled politely. My sister threw together a Harry Potter costume, and the picture is hanging on the walls. Well, sis had kids a while back. I sent polite gifts, including a quilt to be handed down. Sis received them warmly, but I found out she doesn't use the quilt because the room is Harry Potter themed. Due to what's going on right now, I ended up moving back closer to home into a condo I had been renting out. Tenants were not evicted or anything. Once sister found out, she got really excited and started making all kinds of plans. I was thrilled because I thought she wanted to spend more time with me. Except the plans were like, I take the kids to the zoo, I take them to the park, I take them for ice cream, the aquarium, etc., so sis can have some time to herself and relax, play video games, etc. I inquired about when she and I would spend time together, and she actually said, "It's not like we have anything in common we can do together." I was really hurt by this and declined her requests for me to basically babysit her kids. She asked me why, and didn't I want to be the cool aunt? And this is where I think I'm the jerk. I said, I don't know. It's not like I have anything in common with them that we can do together. Sounds like you want an unpaid babysitter. She was shocked and went stomping to mom and dad, who immediately took her side and told her that I should be thankful to spend time with the kids. I said, why? It's not like anyone in the family has ever made it a point to spend time with me doing something I'd enjoy. She told me that if I tried harder to be more like the rest of them, instead of chasing popularity and doing my nails, maybe I would have more in common with them. I'm lost now, because on one hand, I don't think I was wrong to decline being a free sitter for my sister. But maybe my mom is right, and I've been a crappy member of the family because I couldn't just get into Star Wars and all that. Edit. I just wanted to chime in and say that Star Wars and Harry Potter aren't the only geeky/nerdy things they like. They were just the ones that popped into my head. I remember back when we were in high school, my sister laughed in my face because I didn't enjoy the Sabriel books, and she told me that they were too advanced for me to understand. She found me reading the California Diaries, offshoot of Babysitters Club books, and laughed in my face again because she thought they were dumb. Edit 2. One thing I'm curious about is why are so many people telling me, first thing in their comments, that they're geeky and nerdy? Why do you think that makes things different? Well, what do you think? If you had siblings that never wanted to spend time with you, would you watch their kids for free? Please let us know. My kids are such angels. You should be the one paying me to watch them. I'm not allowed to buy here. I work in a private preschool. I wear a green badge on a lanyard, and for the time being, I usually wear scrubs to work that I can throw off when I get home. Anyway, Today I had to swing by Small Fart on my way home to pick up some groceries, but mostly to visit the pharmacy and get my mother-in-law some insulin. It's summer and hot. Today I had chosen not to wear a shirt under my scrubs because of the heat, so I wasn't able to change like usual. Still, my crayon and rainbow patterned top and bright turquoise pants looked nothing like Small Fart's blue vest and khaki pants uniform, and I'm headed straight home after, so I thought no big deal. I hit the pharmacy first because they close earlier than the rest of the store and there's always a line. I'm up after an elderly gent and I'm just kind of people watching, going over my list in my mind. Suddenly, I feel a tug on my shirt. This is uncomfortable for two reasons. One, social distancing is still a thing, right? And two, did I mention it was hot? I'm sweaty as heck. I turn and see this octogenarian Karen poking her meaty finger at me. At least she had a mask on. "You're in line?" I look down at the floor where there is an actual line painted. Yes. She clicks somehow, like an insect. "That's great. You know you employees should let us paying customers go first. We have more important places to be." Me. "I don't work here, ma'am." Karen. "Don't you ma'am me? Stupid teenager." I'm pushing 40. I'm not in that much of a hurry, so I try to get her with kindness. Me. "I'm sorry, I really don't work here, but if you're in a hurry, you can go ahead of me." Karen. "You bet I can." She practically pushes me out of the way, and I scoot back to the next dot that's 6 feet away. The lady behind her, who is now behind me, gives me a "what can you do?" shrug. So I wait and she goes up to the pharmacist and immediately starts bad-mouthing me to the lady, who obviously doesn't give a hoot. She just glances up at me and apologizes to the lady for the wait. The Karen gets her stuff and starts to leave, but suddenly stops. I'm ready for another tirade, but it's my turn, so I kind of step around her. As I do, she starts walking again and leaves. I do what I came to do. The pharmacist doesn't even mention the incident, so neither do I, and then get my food and also leave. I don't know if she was pausing to maybe apologize to me, or if she had more to say, or just wanted another look and realized she had been wrong. I guess dealing with toddlers all day has made me Karen-proof. She was pretty mild though. Am I the jerk for inviting my brother to my wedding, but not his wife? I'm engaged. My fiancée is overweight. She was when I met her. I've always found her irresistibly attractive. Not looking for commentary or unsolicited advice on this point. My fiancé and I sent out save the dates for the wedding. My brother got one. His wife very intentionally did not. He got married last year. His wife had all my siblings' significant others as bridesmaids, whether they were married or dating. Even my other brother's girlfriend, who he had only been with for a few months. I had been with my girlfriend for nearly 5 years at that point, and everyone knew it was a question of when, not if, we'd get married. She didn't ask my girlfriend to be a bridesmaid because she didn't want to be constrained to picking a bridesmaid's dress available in plus sizes and did not want to have my girlfriend in her wedding photos. I'm not speculating. That's not something I ever could have guessed. That's what she said, in her own words, when we arrived at the wedding to find everyone else's significant others were bridesmaids but her, and asked what was going on. I thought maybe it was a bridezilla moment, and she had realized how awful it was later. But it's been over a year, and while my brother has apologized again and again for ever having allowed that to happen, why he's invited, his wife never did at all, even when it's brought up in front of her. We've only seen them a couple times since the wedding, and my fiancé has tried to forgive and forget, but it's still uneasy between us because of the singular lens we now know she sees my fiancé through. My fiancé doesn't mind grinning and bearing for the occasional family event we have to attend, but I didn't feel like it would be right to make her spend her wedding day with someone who would ever treat her as less than human. We're having a very small wedding, 20 people and 12 are family. Having that woman there would taint the whole dynamic. That being said, the rest of the family is understandably upset. My family, my brother especially, feel like we're trying to make them choose sides. In my other brother's words, even if that wasn't your intention, it's the result. And that's a real jerk move none of us deserve. We didn't do anything to your fiancé. I definitely don't want to make anyone choose sides, and he's not wrong that they didn't cause the problem and don't deserve the fallout. But my wife also deserves a wedding day with only people who love and cherish her. Am I the jerk for not inviting my brother's wife? Well, what do you think? Should they invite his brother's wife to their wedding or not? Please let us know. Sounds like his brother married a real Karen. Tell him he's in for a wild ride. Yeah. Don't do extra? Okay. Stop working here? Sounds good. This was about 3 years ago. I was working in the bakery of a local high-end grocer, think gourmet Whole Foods, and had been there for 3 years. What started as a college job for a semester turned out to be a longer-term thing. I loved the work, the customers, and my coworkers. That is until the final month there. I was online for a promotion to assistant manager. In my time there, I had been passed over for different promotions for people that were more favorable for the company image. When the position came up, I was the only person across the company that applied. I thought I was a shoo-in and had been led to believe that it was as good as mine. The old assistant manager was transferring to a higher position and took extra time to train me before leaving. Weeks passed and I heard no news. No one in my department was getting an answer for when I'd be given the step up. That was until someone elsewhere asked us when the new assistant manager was transferring in from another store. Turned out that my boss's boss, we'll call him Greg, decided that I was a terrible fit and went above her to push someone into the role, someone that didn't want it and hadn't been trained for it. I complained to someone higher up, saying I should have at least been told that the decision was reversed. No word came and the new assistant manager started. It only took a couple days to realize that she had barely worked in the bakery and had not been trained for her position. She also seemed to target me, assuming that I didn't know how to do the most basic things we did. I later found out that Greg told her I was a problem employee and needed to be watched very closely and given guidance. Out of the blue, our manager was given the boot and replaced. She had no warning, and suddenly someone from a completely different store and department was in her position. This person had no clue how to do the job, and with the training that the old assistant manager gave me, I overtook most of the day-to-day tasks. Greg came in one day and threw a fit that I was doing inventory. He said that I had no place acting like I was in charge and doing jobs that weren't meant for people like me. Fine. Inventory? Not getting done. Dating and tossing old product? Not my problem now. Helping customers with issues and complaints? Let me grab the manager instead. Making sure things are filed and ordered when needed? No thanks. I started doing the bare minimum, took all of my breaks, clocked in exactly when my shift was scheduled, and left exactly when it ended, no matter what I was doing. They didn't want me to go outside my station, then I wouldn't. Easy days for me. Suddenly, issues popped up left and right, and our new manager was scrambling to figure things out. I told them nothing since it wasn't my place to teach them how to do their jobs. This all came to an end when I was called into a meeting with a store manager. We'll call him Rob. Rob. Greg has told me that you've had a lot of issues lately. Me. I bet he has. I'm just doing my job now. He told me to. Rob. Well, he told your manager to stop scheduling you after today. He wanted me to tell you. Me. Are you firing me? Rob. No. Greg said that you won't be scheduled, but you may be used as an emergency call-in during the holidays. Me. I'm not working, but I'm not fired? This is BS. Rob. I agree, but he's above me when it comes to what happens in your department. Me. All right, I'll finish today, but after that, I'm done. This is some stupid work politics, and I'm not playing this game with him. I kept my word and finished my shift without complaint. As soon as the end hit, I walked away and clocked out. That's when I told my coworkers what had happened during that meeting. I bid them farewell and walked out. The next morning, I was woken up before sunrise by a call from Greg. He said that almost everyone in our department had quit overnight, and he needed me in to open. I reminded him that he didn't want me there, so I quit. He demanded I return and help him train a new team, so I did what anyone would do. I told him to do it himself, go forget himself, and hung up. Last I heard from a few friends that are still with the company, our department didn't really recover all the way, and people still talk about how we all left together one day. If you see this and recognize the story, forget you, Greg. Am I the jerk for refusing to let my husband's best friend move in with us and threatening to leave if he does? My husband has a childhood friend who we'll call Eric. Their parents are friends, so they've grown up together and consider each other brothers since they're both the only sons in their respective families. I've never been overly fond of Eric, but I've never actually disliked him until now. It turns out Eric has been cheating on his wife, Amy, the mother of his 2 small kids, with a coworker. Amy kicked him out, and now he needs a place to stay because he doesn't want anyone in his family to find out what he did, and none of his other friends have room for him. When my husband asked if he could let him stay, I flat out refused. I'm currently 7 months pregnant, and throughout my pregnancy, Amy has been a massive support. There is no way I'm going to let the man who broke her heart stay with me so he can keep his dirty little secret. My husband is upset because he claims me and Amy were never that good of friends to begin with, which is true until my pregnancy, and that he can't refuse his brother when what he did wasn't even that bad. After a lot of arguing, he says he's going to move him in tomorrow whether I agree or not because this is his house. I'm ashamed to admit, I lost it. I told him if he even dares to bring him, I'll move out the same day, and that it says a lot about him that he's willing to side with a cheater. My husband is now angry at me because I'm threatening to take his baby and hasn't spoken to me since. I believe he's still planning to let Eric stay. Before this, we never really fought, and the silent treatment is starting to make me feel like a real jerk. Some of my friends say I'm the jerk because I shouldn't get involved in Eric and Amy's marital problems, but others agree it would be crappy to help him after what he's done. I honestly don't know if I overstepped. I don't want to move out. It was something I said in the heat of the moment, but I feel like I'll have to if Eric moves in now. Am I the jerk for threatening to leave the house if he moves in? And if he does move in, do I follow through? Update. So I've spoken to Amy again, and she pretty much confirmed that my husband was covering for Eric. This also isn't his first affair, and the reason he doesn't want anyone to know is because his family is essentially threatened to disown him if he did it again. Amy has tried to contact the mistress' husband, but hasn't been able to find much info about her or her husband. She's planning to tell her in-laws, but hasn't yet because they convinced her the last time to give him a second chance, and she doesn't want anyone influencing her decision again. My husband continued to ice me out until I started experiencing some cramps, and now he's acting like a doting husband again. Neither of us has brought up Eric/the argument again, but I'm still pretty upset with him. I'll update again if anything else happens. Update 2. Well, my mother-in-law came over to drop off some baby stuff. She's been doing this regularly. She noticed something was off between me and husband and asked us if something had happened. Husband fed her some BS story about how I was just worried about the birth and being parents. I think my mother-in-law could tell I was getting upset again because she told husband to go into the other room so we could talk. I ended up telling her everything, and she was furious with husband. She spent a long time lecturing him about how this isn't how you treat your pregnant spouse and how he needs to stop always trying to solve Eric's problems for him, especially not at the expense of his own marriage. She then asked me to stay the night around her place, so that's where I am right now. My husband was pretty angry I involved his mother in our problems, but has also been calling and texting me apologies since. I haven't responded yet. Well, what do you think? Do you think her husband should have Eric come stay with them, or no? Please let us know. I say she kick him out, and him and Eric can go get a motel together. Maybe Motel 6. They leave the lights on for you. Dad flips out on me like a total Karen. I've been living on my own for almost 9 months and have been enjoying the freedom away from my parents, but I still like to come and stay if my parents ask. With lockdown restrictions being eased in the UK, my dad asked me if I wanted to stay at his for a few days as he needed help with some DIY and decorating. I naturally said yes, and I came down at the start of the week. The minute I got there, it was straight down to business painting the living room. I didn't mind it, but with it being the summer, we had the windows and back door open all the time. I have pretty awful hay fever, and it makes my nose run incessantly, so I began to sniff quite a lot, even if I blew my nose. My dad went ballistic and demanded that I stop sniffing every second as he found it irritating. I apologized, but attempted to explain that I couldn't stop sniffing, and the direct way to combat it would be to shut the windows and use the AC for a bit. My father, being the cheapskate he is, refused to put the AC on and instead demanded that I stop sniffing because I was allegedly doing it to annoy him. I dismissed the idea, and he then sulked for the rest of the day. By the 5th day of my sniffly stay, he produced a mason jar with the label "Sniff Jar" and stated that I had to put money in every time I sniffed, with increasing amounts every time. 1 sniff equals 1 pound, 2 sniffs is 2 pounds, and so on. I refused point blank to agree, and he erupted in anger, claiming that it had been a household rule that since I was a kid. It hadn't, and my parents divorced in my teens, with no mention of this rule in either house, and that I was being disrespectful to him. I tried to discuss it with him reasonably, but he refused to listen and just resorted to talking louder than me. I was sick of the entire argument, so I gave him a piece of my mind, packed up my stuff, and went back to my place. I haven't spoken to him since, and feel like I acted as best I could in response to something that just seemed very outlandish. Edit. I've been made aware that I have used AC incorrectly. I use the term to generally refer to any form of air cooling and conditioning, when in fact it's for a specific kind. In this context, I'm referring to a number of tower fans that my dad keeps around the house but refuses to use. Am I the jerk for not wanting to be a stepmom? A lot of people are upset with me about this. So my, for clarification, at the time boyfriend, but now an ex-boyfriend, said that an old fling called him and said she's pregnant and the baby is his. Yeah, I freaked out. About a lot of stuff. He was like, Why can't you be excited? You love me. We'll make it work. I was honestly like, no, sorry, I can't do that. I don't want to sign up for a future of being a stepmom, and I'm just not into this. I'm sorry. People have since told me that I was being immature. If you love someone, you love all of them, and you don't leave them if you find out that they're having a baby. You should be happy for them, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but I don't want to be a stepmom. I'm just not dating someone with kids. I don't like kids, and I don't want any in the future. And that should be okay, right? I'm also young, and I don't want to live that life. I've had multiple people, including his parents, his cousins, etc., all of who I know really well, call me a selfish brat for not being cool with it. I don't get it. His cousin sent me this. Honestly, you had the wrong reaction. You shouldn't have said you weren't happy about it and left. If you really love your partner, you would love their kid, no matter the circumstances. Also, how rude of you to say that you didn't sign up to be a stepmom. That's crazy to me that you would even say that. So you don't accept his kid just because it would have been with another woman? Babies are innocent no matter what. Grow up. What do you guys think? Who is right here? Some relevant information I didn't add before because I wrote this in a rush. We only dated for 8 months, but had been close friends for 4 years before. So no, he didn't cheat on me. No worries there. The girl was clearly very, very far along when she finally got the guts to tell him. Also, we are broken up. It wasn't even a choice. I don't want kids, so it had to be done. Thanks for all the replies. I thought I was the crazy one since a lot of people were telling me I should have stayed. What would you have done in this situation? Would you have stayed with him or left? Please let us know. Karen complains about prices and ruins a great deal for herself. This story took place over the course of a few weeks. Bear with me as I recall the details. I work at a thrift shop. Most items are priced based on quality and condition. However, we do have set prices for some items. One such item is Monster High dolls. We get them pretty often, so the general rule is that each doll goes out for $5. If it's in bad shape or missing bits, it's $4. And if it's clothed with accessories, it's $6. It's always been this way, and this is a standard across all of our locations. I've had customers ask why these dolls are more expensive than our Barbies or other dolls out there, and I usually explain that Monster High dolls offer articulated joints and are popular for customizing and sculpting off of. When we get into a conversation about it, usually the customer will understand why the dolls are on the pricier side. Well, not this lady. This lady brought up about 10 dolls to the register and immediately asked my cashier for a manager, myself. She asks why the dolls are expensive. I explain why and assume she'll understand. But no. She instead insists that the other stores sell these dolls for $3, and she even found one in the package with all these extra accessories for only $8. I told her that unfortunately, without some proof, I wouldn't be able to honor such a reduced price, but did offer her $5 for a couple of her $6 picks due to minor imperfections. That was 2 or so weeks ago, and I assumed that that was the end of it. But I was wrong. This lady came back about a week ago and told me she was so glad she could catch me again because she has something to show me. I got a little excited because I thought she was going to show me her collection, or a doll she had customized. She brought all my expectations down when I saw she was showing me pictures of Monster High dolls from other locations. Sure enough, priced at $3 across the board. I was so surprised, I just stared. She put on a smug face and told me, "See? Your dolls are maybe just a little overpriced." And with how snotty her voice was, it took everything in me to be civil when I told her that I would speak to the store manager to clarify whether our prices were right or the other location's prices. She walked away thinking she had won, and I walked away kind of defeated. The next day when I saw the store manager was in, I asked him if we had a set price for Monster High dolls. He told me yes, and together we reviewed the pricing standard for dolls. We even went out onto the sales floor to make sure we really were on track with our pricing. Seeing as we have never had to recycle a single Monster High doll for not selling, we decided we did not need to lower the prices. Now, just today, the store manager approached me when I started my shift, grinning ear to ear. He had a story to tell me. Apparently, this lady had gone to the other locations within our city and complained and moaned about our horribly overpriced dolls to the cashier, who brought the manager over to share the conversation. She told them they should talk to that other store and see about lowering our prices a notch. And so the manager did what any good manager ought to do. She followed up and reviewed the pricing standard for these toys and dolls. To her horror, she saw that their store was in the wrong. They were practically giving these dolls away, and the pricing standard wasn't even posted at the tables, so the pricers had no idea they were pricing things incorrectly. She emailed our store manager immediately with her findings and asked us for our thoughts. My store manager told her that he and his team had encountered the lady as well and recommended reviewing the standards with her team so that they could price correctly. Then he CC'd the email to the district manager, who later in the night rolled out an email about following pricing standards more thoroughly across all departments to prevent customers like her from trying to undermine us like that again. So basically, this lady completely destroyed a really good deal for herself by raising a stink about the overpriced dolls at the other store. She's gonna be in for a nasty surprise when she next visits and finds all the dolls are appropriately priced. Watch this video next, the one that just popped up on the screen. You're gonna love it. And support the channel by becoming a member today, and we'll give you a special shout out in our next video. Or have us make a special video for you or a loved one. Just come visit us on Fiverr, link pinned in the comments below.